All you haters can keep on hating. Keep on hating. You quote-unquote outlaws. You can hate all you want, make up all the stupid nicknames for him that you feel like, and keep trying to build your audience off of shtick and silly talk about people. But the truth is that whether you like it or not, the Colorado Buffaloes are already winning with Deion Sanders, a.k.a. Coach Prime, at the helm of the program. That's just fact. So let's talk about it. Welcome back to the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, and if you love college football, you're definitely in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring that bell so you don't miss one moment of the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. And folks, outlaws don't have to like it. Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, and the Colorado Buffaloes are winning. They're already winning. Making huge strides in a place that has not been relevant since it left the Big 12, and really even before that. This is a program on the rise now, and what I call a sleeping giant. And this narrative that's going around out there from a lot of content creators that, to me, it's just nothing but more than, well, I'm not even going to say what it is. In the end, are there some things that you'd like to not hear coming out of the mouth of Deion Sanders about some of his older players? Sure. The truth of it is, we're talking about a team that went 1-10 a year ago, 1-11, and fired a coach like very early into the season. It just wasn't very good. So you have to understand why things happened the way they did. And they brought in Deion Sanders to win, and it was going to be time for him to replace players with the talent that he is proving capable of bringing in. And this is why they're winning. You know, if you look at it, and let's just be serious here. This is a program that has, well, it just got its first 5-star recruit in Cormani McClain. It just got its first 5-star recruit in Cormani McClain, a 6'2", 165-pound cornerback from Lakeland, Florida, the number one corner in the country. And this is now the second straight season that Coach Prime has landed the number one cornerback in the country. Everybody remembers that he flipped Travis Hunter right at the last second from Florida State, his alma mater, to go to Jackson State. He has since joined Coach Prime at Colorado. He was the number one overall he was the number one overall recruit in the country when he made that flip. And this is it set off a chain of events that has now had Coach Prime is on the rise. And here he is with a Power 5 job in a program that, again, to me was a sleeping giant. Now, if you want to sit here and you want to talk this ridiculousness, first off, on a 1-11 team, there have to be some level of tempered expectations as far as what are they going to do in year one. Now, what I would tell you is I don't think that much of the Pac-12, and I think that right away and immediately they are going to be um, they're going to be relevant and they're going to be competitive. And the reason for that are there are actually, let's see, so they had, what was it? Headlined by last year's, obviously Travis Hunter. You have Coach Prime's son, Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback. He was a 4-star going into uh, Jackson State as well. He is going into his junior season. Actually, it may end up being his sophomore season, depending on how they rank it. He has played 2 seasons. Fabulous quarterback. The guy has game. Okay. Shedeur Sanders is on track to graduate from JSU, Jackson State. After now, he was already a transfer in the one-time transfer portal, or one-time transfer free deal when Coach Prime got the job 2 years ago at Jackson State. So for him, according to the rules, now I don't know that he won't be able to get around this some way. As of right now, he is not a part of Colorado's recruiting class as a transfer yet. He is on track to graduate though, which would give him 2 years of eligibility. He's in Colorado a lot of the time. I believe he'll be there. Okay. Here's the point I'm trying to make about this is we're talking about a program that again 1-11 a year ago and really not a relevant program for a long time, right? They have fabulous facilities. They're in a power conference. And honestly, they're in a conference that's on shaky ground. USC, UCLA will be leaving after this season, going to the Big Ten. We will find out what happens with the Pac-12 after that. Any number of things could happen with Kevin Warren. With Kevin Warren leaving the Big Ten, to take over as the president at the Chicago Bears, it appears that for the moment there won't be any more expansion in the Big Ten. For the moment, apparently, some of these guys have, or some of the presidents of the schools were not as high on doing that as was Kevin Warren. What I would tell you is, I don't think USC and UCLA are okay with being the only 2 teams from the West Coast in that conference. It's going to make for a travel hell for them. Not that I care. Now, again, right now this is a situation where, and I don't really care where he went. This was going to change things for Colorado. It was going to get better. At 1 year after the Buffaloes finished at 58th overall in the 247 recruiting rankings, composite score of 47th in the rankings, and a transfer score of 78th. And again, they finished 1-11 under head coach Dorrell, who was in his second season. But I don't even think he made it through 3 games. A year before that, they were number 65 in the country, number 64 in the composite, and 51st in transfer ratings. Their highest ranked player of 2021 was the 413th ranked tight end, Eric Olson. 2022's highest ranked player, Dylan Dixon, who was he was a safety and the number 600 player in the country for the 2022 recruiting class. Since Coach Prime has arrived, this has been huge. Number one, and first and foremost, he added not just Travis Hunter, not just his sons Shedeur and likely Shiloh after he graduates for 2 more seasons. He also picked up a total of overall, and this is a This is talking commitments plus transfer portal additions. They go from 58th overall a year ago to 21st overall in the 247. They're hovering right around that same area in on three as well. 43 commitments, complete overhaul, very similar to what Lincoln Riley did a year ago at USC. Obviously, you had Cormani McClain, the 13th ranked overall prospect in the country, 6'2", 165 pounds. The guy's unbelievable. If you look at any of his film, unbelievable. You also had four-star Dylan Edwards, running back from Kansas City, or Kansas, actually, Derby, Kansas, who was the 11th ranked running back in the country. He actually put up monster numbers, 3,214 all-purpose yards, and that's, you heard that right, at Derby. 3,214 all-purpose yards, 40 touchdowns, averaging 12 yards a carry. How this guy's the 11th ranked running back in the country is pretty crazy. You also had additions of Thomasville, Georgia, wide receiver, 6 foot Adam Hopkins, speed guy, 4-star. Another 4-star receiver in Omarion Miller from Vivian, Louisiana, 6'2", 190 pounds. Another big time player. We're talking about, these are guys that are going to make a difference. So overall, you had the 1 5-star addition, and you also had 3 4-stars. Now, on top of that, some of these guys that he added via the transfer portal, nothing's below a 3-star in his recruiting, right? Transfers, he had Demoy Kennedy, 6'3", 215-pound linebacker, transfer from Alabama. He's an immediate going. Kendrick Breedlove, cornerback, 5'10 and a half, 165. He's coming in from Ole Miss. You also, this has got a SEC flavor to it. So you got 6'3" edge rusher Jordan Dominic coming in from Arkansas. That was a big deal for them to get him. You've got Taylor Upshaw, 6'4" edge rusher that came in from Michigan, and obviously. Defensively, they're making a big push there. Another cornerback in Tavion Beasley coming from Jackson State. The Jackson State contingent that went undefeated throughout the season, losing in that championship game, the bowl game that they had on a heartbreaker. But you had a total of, including Beasley, let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And a possible 8th if Shiloh does indeed end up with the Buffaloes, which it appears that he is. Among them, including, of course, Shedeur Sanders, that 4-star quarterback, 6'1", 198. He had a monster season a year ago. You have Tyler Brown, inside linebacker. And then, obviously, Travis Hunter, who was the number 1 player in the country a year ago, who's going to play cornerback and receiver. That's not changing. And then you have safety Cameron Silmon also in there as well. These are the best of the best guys that he had, his Louis luggage that he was talking about. Again, folks, if you don't think that this guy is going to win, I would tell you that it's wishful thinking on your part, because I know better than that. At what point throughout Coach Prime's entire career at anything has he been a failure? And I'll just answer the question: never. He does everything well. He played baseball well. He was the best cornerback probably in the history of the game. And since then, he took over at Jackson State 2 years ago. He's literally lost 2 games in the last 2 years. 2 games in the last 2 years. You can hate all you want to, but they're winning already just by getting him to come in there. Now, when you start talking about, okay, well, he can recruit. Well, how's he going to coach him? I'll tell you how he's going to coach them, because he went out there and he got himself talent in his assistant coaches, just the same way that he did at Jackson State when he brought in guys like Coach Zimmer, who had been the head coach the year before that in at Minnesota for the Vikings. He brought in offensive play caller. He was the head coach at Kent State a year ago. Sean Lewis, one of the most respected offensive minds in the game, a guy that Shedeur definitely wanted to play for. Defensively, he got a guy that was the defensive coordinator for the last Florida State team to win a national title, Charles Kelly, who had been serving as cornerbacks coach at Alabama on his way here. Very likely that he would have become, he may have become a defensive coordinator at Bama, since they just replaced both of their coordinators, right after going with 2 losses, missing the playoff this season. Look, these are guys, when you start talking about Charles Kelly, he has been a safeties coach, a defensive backs coach, a cornerback coach, and a defensive coordinator, and he's one of the top recruiters in the country already. He's been recruiting these top-level talented guys at Alabama. Sean Lewis has brought in some amazing players himself, even at Kent State, and he was one. I mean, they literally had a better game against Georgia than did TCU in the national championship game. This guy's a real deal coach. Coach Prime knows what he can do. He knows what he can't do. He's not the X's and O's guy necessarily. Not that he doesn't know football, but he doesn't need to be. What he does is run this thing as a CEO. He gets in. He has done the same thing that he did at Jackson State. Now, you're going to hear a lot of people that doing this hating. Well, he had 4-stars and 5-star guys at Jackson State. He had 1 5-star guy. He had some 4-stars and mostly 3s. Okay. Did they win? Yeah, they did. Do all the other guys did? I mean, there wasn't a lot of teams with 5-stars in when you start talking about HBCU schools. Again, for anybody that thinks I think if you think he's gonna win less than like 7 games, I think you'd be crazy, right? I think we all know, having looked at the Pac-12 a year ago, yes, you had half the league was pretty good and half the league wasn't. So you had some 9-win teams. Nobody won 10. Or, well, I guess Utah ended up winning 10. Nobody won, even USC didn't get there. But you had USC, Oregon, Oregon State, Utah, and UCLA that had 9 wins or better. All right. Now, what I would tell you is it was a light 9-win season for these. Washington was another team in there like that. They really played a terrible non-conference schedule. The one team that really played, or the 2 teams that played solid teams, I would even say, obviously, Oregon opened up with the defending national champions, who went on to win it again this season and got blown out of the water at the Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta. They came back and became a good team. They've recruited very well also. You've got Utah, who, to me, and for my money, the best coach in that conference is Kyle Whittingham. And that includes your boy Lincoln over there at SC. We all know that I'm not a fan of him. And as much as I believe that he's the best offensive play caller in the world, defensively, they're trash. So I feel like this is a team in the Colorado Buffaloes that they're bringing in talent. Top 20, almost made the top 20, 21st overall. That's higher than they've been probably ever in the 247 era. They got their first 5-star in 15 years in Cormani McClain. He had 9 interceptions as a sophomore, 6 as a junior. Nobody threw at him as a senior. He's making one-handed interceptions, in those first 2 years. Look, Dylan Edwards decommitted from Notre Dame in December. He's headed over there. You had Adam Hopkins, the receiver from Thomasville, Georgia. He was headed to Auburn. He decommits on December 1st, signs with Colorado. Obviously, again, the guys coming from Jackson State are going to make an impact, but it doesn't end there. It just doesn't end there. This guy is bringing in top level talent. He had again, his transfer ranking was also high, 5th in the country. Look, let's just call it what it is. If you're trying to tell me, you've got guys out there making stupid names for him, and look, do I understand why people were a little upset with the way that he introduced himself to the guys from last year's team? Yeah, I get it. It was kind of arrogant and a little showy for a lot of people's taste, including my son. What I'll tell you is that I like Coach Prime. I think he was a great player. I know he was an amazing player, right? And I don't have a problem with what he's doing here. I believe that look, you had a guy that's in Sean Lewis that was on his way to getting a Power 5 job as the head coach. He wanted to come and be a part of this, what's going on with Coach Prime at Colorado, to build something like that, right? And then to go out and to be able to get a defensive coordinator like Charles Kelly, this is when you start talking about some of these, our guy from Around the Table Sports, Ty, was talking about Charles Kelly, and he was like, he's one of the best defensive coaches in the country, period. He can coach everywhere. That's a big move. He wanted to be a part of Coach Prime's program. He'll coach as well. I would tell you that you are getting real coaching for these guys and players at Colorado. So if you're telling me that they're going to be trash, that obviously it's not the same as coaching at HBCU, duh, right? But if you're going to try to tell me that they can't win in the Pac-12, I'm going to tell you I think you're crazy. I think that at minimum they probably top out at 7 minimum wins. I could see them winning 9 in this conference. Okay? I could see them winning 9. Shedeur is going to immediately be a top 2 or 3 quarterback in this league. Period. He already is. I would tell you that this class, are they maybe a year away? Maybe. But the fact that they brought in the number 5 transfer portal class as well, they've added 43 players. These guys are ready to rock and roll today. And skill-wise, I don't think that Colorado is gonna lack. They're just not. Get ready. TCU is going up against them, I believe, in week 1 or 2. And I don't think it's a stretch to say they probably beat the hell out of TCU. This is, again, don't tell me there's no way that you have any evidence that this Colorado team isn't going to be good because Coach Prime's doing it. I don't care what you call him. You can call him all the stupid names you want because he's brash and loud. Do that. He's still going to win. And if you're telling me otherwise, give me something other than you don't like it because you think he's full of crap. Okay? Some people don't like that kind of stuff. That's fine. I don't care if you do. I don't think you have to like it. I don't think it matters whether you like it. And for all you folks and you outlaws, as I said, you guys are full of crap. You can make up all this stuff, but the truth of it is this dude, he's getting big time talent. He's got the number 1 corners, the back-to-back seasons. That's big. He's got some real talent on that defensive side of the ball already. And they're going to coach defense and play defense. When Shiloh gets there, we're talking about a guy that went to South Carolina and was already a starter when he went to Jackson State. He's going to have 2 seasons left. If you think they're not going to win at Colorado, I think you're just wishful thinking. But let me know what you think in the comments. Tell us why. You better come with more than just he's a loudmouth, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to hear any of that. What I want you to tell me is, why can they not win? With the talent that they have on this roster and the lack of depth, half the teams were good last year. The other teams were trash. The lack of depth in the Pac-12 tells me that they can win. But let me know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one, guys.